Did you choose to watch this video, or were you predestined to watch it? Were all of your decisions made for you eons before you were born? Here on the Venkat Files, we determine whether free will truly exists, or if it's just an illusion. We also discuss the one condition required for free will to exist. The answer to the question of free will affects everything, from our attitude to criminals to every regret you've ever had, to whether a creator could reasonably judge your behaviour. Let's start with two interesting observations. First, the universe appears to be made of free energy and basic particles called quarks, interacting through forces in space and time. There's also dark matter and dark energy, which we don't yet understand. The matter we can see seems to obey predictable laws of motion, like snooker balls. If you know the positions of the balls beforehand, and the direction and spin of the strike, you can predict the position of every ball at any time after the strike. You might need to know the condition of the felt on the table and the temperature of the room, but you can make a prediction to a moderate level of accuracy. Snooker professionals do it all the time. The matter you can't see obeys a different set of laws governing the quantum world, which are unintuitive to us, but are laws nonetheless. There's nothing we've found yet in the observable universe that is wholly ungoverned by laws. Nothing convincing, at least. Even much of human behaviour is predictable. Skilled advertisers rely on this predictability. So do YouTubers when they create thumbnails and video titles to draw you in. That's the first observation, and it's important. Laws provide the instructions for how cause leads to effect. Now let's look at the second observation. As fetuses, we relied on our mother's nutrition to grow our body parts, including our brain, which developed a consciousness, you. In a sense, we are our food transmuted into something that thinks and talks. When it reached your gut and transformed into brain matter, your food joined and became your decision-making apparatus. Think about that. You die on the savannah. A hyena eats your arm, and the proteins and fats that made up you become part of the hyena's grey matter and its decision-making apparatus. Your substance then decides when it comes back to eat the rest of you. So there are our two observations. Everything seems to follow laws, and second, your decisions arose from the transmuted food that your mother consumed, and they continue to arise from the transmuted food that you consume now. From what we've said so far, it makes sense to say that our decisions are just a movement of matter and energy following the laws of physics, however mysterious those laws are. In this model, we should have no free will. Every decision we've ever made is the result of collisions of atomic particles, interferences of waves, and transfer of energy. If we only knew how everything interacted, if we knew how every particle and wave began in the universe and what direction it propagated in, we could calculate the position of just about everything, including the pathways that led to your thoughts. We could figure out what you were going to say before you said it. So in order to have true free will, we need something else, a property that transcends the collisions and interferences that make up the universe. It would allow you to choose one decision over another, no matter how particles moved and interacted before you made the decision. In order to get to this, you need at least one of the particles or waves responsible for consciousness to move in a way that is contrary to any law of physics. Not just any known law of physics, but any law at all. Because if it followed a law, even an unknown one, the decision you made would be predictable to anyone who knew that law. This property, then, is randomness. Yes, in order to break free from the familiar sequence of cause and effect, you need a quantum entity that, when struck in the same way, under the exact same conditions, can produce any of a range of effects. That's genuine randomness. Rather like striking a snooker ball many times under exactly the same conditions and watching it move in different directions each time. This seems not only unlikely, but impossible. Nothing in the macroscopic world seems to transcend computable mechanics, but it's possible that something in the quantum world might. But if a quantum particle involved in consciousness does operate in a truly random way, we could exercise free will. A creator could manipulate the randomness to his or her whim. He or she could assess your responses to see whether you fulfill their version of being a good human. But the presence of randomness can never truly be proved. There will always be the possibility that there's a hidden mechanism causing a quantum event to appear random, some property that we haven't yet learned to measure or even detect. This truth would make answering the question of free will very difficult, as there's nothing that has yet been found to be convincingly random. As there's nothing that's yet been found to be convincingly random, it seems unlikely that true randomness exists, because if it existed somewhere, we would most likely have noticed it, which makes free will not entirely impossible, but highly unlikely. So if we're saying randomness probably doesn't exist, and so we probably don't have free will, what now? We're saying every action you take was predetermined by the initial conditions of the universe, which means how you behave can't reasonably be judged by a creator. He or she already knows who is going to heaven and who is going to hell. Is there any point then in being good? Yes, because you're not the creator. You don't know the initial conditions of the universe. And even if you did, you don't have the computing power to predict what will happen next. To you, the future emerges as if there's randomness in the universe, and therefore you evolved to operate as if you have true free will, even if all your actions are predetermined. So what about crimes? If someone commits a crime, is it their fault? Could they protest in court that they were predestined by physics to commit the crime? Should they then go unpunished? No, because there's a flip side to the argument for a predetermined crime. If the criminal's actions were predetermined, so too were ours. We were predestined to be upset by their crime. We were predestined to not let them get away with it. How about environmental degradation? Also predestined. But we were also predestined to worry about it. We were hopefully predestined to take effective action. But we'll only find out when we reach the future. How about regrets? Should we have regrets? We can, when it comes to regrets, and when it's convenient for us, invoke the argument that we lack free will. We can say that what happened, happened. We can learn from it, make amends, or prevent it happening again in the future. Maybe you were predetermined to look at your life constructively in this way. So there's our answer. We probably have no free will, but we were predestined to live as if we have it. We can only wait to find out what our final choice was predetermined to be. Did you choose, for example, to like and subscribe to this channel? Excellent choice. We were predetermined to thank you for listening and to hope you join us again soon. Goodbye.